You have to have a little credibility first. When you turn to the religion, you become the best son, the best daughter, the best husband, the best wife. Speaking of the best husband, I want to tell you a story. A really good one on this subject, making people conscious of Allah. You don't just invite people to have taqwa of Allah with your words. Your character says a lot. A friend of mine, he became a friend actually on a short trip, told me about how he was raised in a Muslim family. He's Guyanese origin, and in Guyana there's Muslims that are committed, and there's Muslims that have mixed their religion with Hinduism, and some Muslims that are just Muslim by name, and they've completely almost lost everything of the religion. They almost know nothing of the religion. And he was of the latter type. He almost knew nothing about the religion. So as he was growing up in New York, he almost completely just wasn't even practically Muslim. He used to, get into fights with his mother. He went to jail a couple of times. He was in gangs, all kinds of stuff. Later on in life, he decides he wants to, he's looking for God. And he knows at least by name he's Muslim. I think his name was Muhammad or something, right? By name he's Muslim, so he should look into what religion first? Islam. So he starts looking into Islam, starts going to the masjid, starts learning how to pray again, becomes more serious. At the time he was, he had married his girlfriend who was Christian or whatever. Right? And he starts becoming more serious about the religion. And then his wife notices that he's praying. And the beer is gone from the fridge. And he's not going out with his drinking buddies. And he doesn't go to Atlantic City on the weekends. He's a different guy. Something's changed, And he doesn't say anything to her. Just on his own, he didn't yell at her, didn't tell her to, put a hijab on or whatever, lose all her friends. He didn't do any of that. He went to a scholar, and I make dua for the scholar that he went to. He didn't tell me his name, but he said, I went to my scholar, and I told him, look, I'm becoming more and more aware of Islam, but my wife, of course, is a Christian, and she's not even a practicing Christian. She's just kind of what I was before. She's exactly like I was before. How do I help her? He said, don't tell her a thing about Islam, just be the best husband you can be, and to do that, just study what kind of a husband the Prophet was. Just do that. Don't worry about what you need to tell her. Worry about being the best possible husband, and that is the sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ. The Messenger would buy his wife gifts. The Messenger would joke with his wife. The Messenger would spend time with the mother of the believers. The Messenger would praise and compliment the mother of the believers. I'm mentioning that on purpose, guys. He would compliment them. You guys eat the first morsel of food in iftar, like, And the wife says, what? You go, nothing. Right? You drink, some of the desis here drink the first little sip of lassi. Look, I know the economy's bad, but are we really that short on sugar? Or, Very painful for you to say a compliment. I understand, especially for those of you that come from my original country, Pakistan. For you to give a compliment to your wife can cause an ulcer. So I understand, but it's a sunnah, guys. Good food. That's amazing. And our wives, the sisters are so used to hearing nasty things from us. Then when we say nice things, they get freaked out. Like if the husband just says, you look really nice today. She goes, what do you want? She gets worried, like he's up to, we got to fix that. That's a problem. It can't be healthy. So he starts doing these things with his wife. And in the beginning, he used to argue with her sometimes about Islam and tell her how Christianity doesn't make sense. How can 3 be 1 and 1 be 3? All those kinds of arguments, you've heard them before, right? And none of those would work with his wife. None of them. He's like, no, I'm a Christian and that's it. Jesus is in my heart. Leave me alone. 3 years go by. He stops talking to her about Christianity and how dumb it is or whatever. Stops debating with her. He's just being what he can be as the best husband. And one day he's making maghrib and his wife joins him in salat. And he's in salat. It messes up his salat. Right? What's happening here? Right? Yeah.
Can we go a break for after 5 minutes?
Yeah, we can give a break in 5 minutes, sure.
For 10 minutes because they have to move the
car. Sure. So, he gives, after salat, he looks at her and he goes, what happened? And she goes, what? Nothing. And he goes, no, you have to tell me what happened. And of course she says what pretty much any wife would say, it's complicated. Alright? But eventually she tells him, and she tells him, look, I've never seen a husband like you. My dad wasn't like that. I've never seen a father like you. The way you are with our child, I've never seen a father be like that. It's so beautiful. This religion can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. This is ittaqullah. You see how aware you are of Allah in your life. Right? It's not how many ayat you've memorized, how many ahadith you know, how much knowledge you can spit out at someone, how many quotes from scholars you can deliver. It's not about that. How are you living your life? People can see that. You're calling people to the taqwa of Allah. حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And that's the next part. In 5 minutes I have to give you a break because some people have to get their cars and park them like they would at work. Right? But what I want to share with you in these last 5 minutes is وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. This is item number 1. There were 3 items, right? This is the first item. Don't you dare die except that you're Muslim. You know, one of the most important things we have to do as families is we have to talk about death. As families. Not in speeches, not in khutbahs, as families. Not if I die, when I die. People say, if I die, do this, this, this. No. When I die, do this, this, this. When I die, make sure you please make dua for me. Even to young, like teenage kids, early, when they're just getting their consciousness, make them aware of death. If there's an opportunity to go to a janazah, take your family. Take your kids especially. Let them see a janazah. Let them see the burial. I know about the sunnah about the women. But other than that, I'm talking about just actually being aware of death. And the best way to be aware of death and to be aware of our mortality also is that we have to take our children out of their comfort zones. I'm telling you, wallahi, even the ones of us that are not doing that well in this country, that have minimal, jobs and are barely getting by in their apartments, we're still living like kings compared to people in the rest of the world. Our children have a lot of luxury. Even those of you that are living in small apartments, you open the fridge and there's 4 different kinds of soda and 3 different kinds of juice. And there are people that haven't had clean water for weeks. Right? We have a lot of luxury. And our children are used to it. We're used to it. We have to take ourselves out of that sometimes. We have to take ourselves out of that. Even for a little bit. To put life in perspective again. And that's really important. Because when our children we just become accustomed to luxury all the time, and we start getting used to it, we forget what we really are. What we really are is dirt. Allah created us from it, and we'll go back to it. That's all we really are. And a human being forgets that. Right? The higher up he goes, he forgets where he came from. We have to remember where we came from. This is the first agenda. I haven't even talked to you about the laws of Islam and prayer and hijab and beard and this. And none of that stuff. All I'm talking about is just be aware of Allah, man. Just be aware of Allah. Be aware that you're going to die. That your life has a purpose. And you're conscious of Allah now so He can take care of you later. You forget about Allah in this world, He'll have you forgotten in the afterlife. After you die, what are you going to do? A disbeliever can deny the akhirah. A disbeliever can say there's no coming to life after death. But even a disbeliever cannot deny death itself. Death is a reality. That's going to come. If there's one thing that makes us, worry. I actually love Ramadan for that reason. How much time left? A couple of weeks, right? How fast did that go by? How fast? That's your entire life is going to be like that. My entire life is going to be like that. Ramadan, you know how fast it went by? That's how fast life goes by. It's a good training on how, how we say, only a couple of weeks left. I got to do this. At least those of you that care. I got to pray more. I got to finish Quran. I got to do this. I got to do that. I have a little bit of time left. If you can develop that attitude in Ramadan, you should transfer that attitude to the rest of your life. I only have a little bit of time left. I got to get some stuff done. I got to put this investment in place. So once I'm gone, I keep getting the credit. The sadaqah jariyah, I keep getting it. From my children, from what I taught, from what I help people with. From good things I did in this world. This is our first campaign. For our families before anybody else. And worry about family before you worry about anybody else. If we can do that, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to be ready for the next phase of this campaign that will create this beautiful society that Allah wants us to become.